Well, I think that it is not what the people of Dallas want. I think it was passed by a committee that was non-representative of the people. It was passed reported out by a group of people in the city staff who I believe are trying to intimidate the city and decide what the city is going to look like according to their particular taste. And I don't think they have that constitutional right.
What particular things in the ordinance do you not like?
Well, in the first place, everything that is not anchored either to a ground or the building is defined as a portable sign. And this will, I think, I estimate it will result in approximately $100 million worth of fines for the businessmen of Dallas. I think it'll cause, if enforced, if really enforced, and I don't think they have the guts to do it, and I don't believe they have so far. If really enforced, it will bankrupt many Dallas businesses and cost Dallas perhaps 50 or 60,000 jobs.
It is generally conceded among courthouse observers that civil service is in the cards for county employees of Tarrant County. The issue is when, and it was agreed at today's meeting that any elected officials who may wish to speak to the issue should be allowed to do so. Also, that the court should get its 1972 budget completely settled before further discussion of civil service. State Senator Doyle Willis addressed the court this morning, saying that civil service just means job security to employees, that it does not protect the laggard, only those who can and will do the job. He noted that almost 80 cities have civil service. Only Dallas and Arlington, he said, have rejected it, and he said Dallas is taking another look. The court also named 11 members to a solid waste disposal advisory board and heard Homa Hill, chairman of the Tarrant County Bar Association Nominations Committee. They agreed to await a poll of Tarrant County lawyers before taking any action to name a successor for probate judge William T. McGee. Responding to a request from El Asa of the United Front, the court said he could conduct a people's rally on the steps of the courthouse on Saturday, December 18th, so long as it was not allowed to become disruptive of the peace in an illegal fashion. Jerry Taft, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth.
Well, I sure don't want it to fail. I think we've had enough trouble without having that plan fail. I voted for the Economic Stabilization Act. I think we ought to remember that President Nixon was not for the Economic Stabilization Program. When that was passed in the previous Congress, he said he didn't want it, it was unnecessary, and he wouldn't use it.
What would failure of his plan do for the Democratic nominee?
Well, what would it do to the country? I think that's more important. I think that if we're unable to employ people, if we continue to have rising inflation, that this country will be in an economic tailspin. Now, that isn't the way you ought to want to win elections. We can argue with the president, and we will, about economics. I think he's been derelict. I think he's been slow. I think he has been unwilling to really face realities.
Well, some of your own Democratic wheels, Mr. Connolly said that he felt there were some Democrats who wanted the plan to fail for political gain. Do you know of any?
No, I don't, and I'm not going to have any fights with Mr. Connolly. My battles are with Mr. Nixon and his general overall policies for this country. I hope that he will sense that there's something important besides just international affairs, even though that's vital. The most important matter for the American people today is to get this economy moving, to put people back to work, to do the things that need to be done for our cities and our rural area, to give our industry a chance to compete internationally. I don't think anybody can be very happy with the fact that we have a trade deficit, that we're importing more than we're exporting. I don't think you can be happy that the American dollar is in more trouble than it's been since the Civil War. I don't think you can be happy that 6% of our people are unemployed. Now, those are things that we ought to correct.
Will Phase 2 correct it?
I'm not sure that it will, but we ought to give it every chance to do so.
Well, we're obviously very concerned about this whole area of monetary balance that exists around the world, being a multinational company. It is our feeling that we must devalue the dollar in the United States to stay competitive. Over the years, we have sort of underwritten many of these foreign countries and let the balance shift as far as the buying power and the competitive nature of products. We think that this whole problem should be settled by the first of the year. Otherwise, we fear there could be a worldwide recession caused by the uncertainty of the dollar standard. We see nothing negative in devaluing the dollar. We see only positive results as far as industry is concerned.
Senator, thank you. Thank you very much.
been complaints that some innocent persons may have been affected by the drug enforcement. One case has been mentioned of a man and his wife walking a dog. In fact, undercover men viewed this couple selling drugs in the park. One agent made a purchase from the man. The individual concerned had been arrested previously for drug violations and is currently under indictment. It is also said that children were arrested. In fact, a number of juveniles were taken into protective custody. One 13-year-old girl who appeared to be under the influence of drugs was detained and later released to her parents. Another 12-year-old girl runaway was returned to her mother. Approximately 40 of the persons in the park were between the ages of 12 and 16.
I would suggest that an apology be given to all the people that were illegally detained out there and arrested. I further think that the Blue Ribbon Committee should be appointed not only to study this type of arrest procedure, but further to study the overall drug procedure here in Dallas County. And I suggest that you appoint a number of young people and a number of people that have been working with the problem to help determine how we can stop it, because the old ways will not do. We've got to find some new ones. I sincerely mean that, and I appreciate you letting me talk to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mattox. To reaffirm what Mr. Mattox and the other last two speakers have said, and to ask the city government, city council, to investigate these tactics that have been used as a way of making themselves re-ask the question whether or not democracy can be defended by undemocratic means, and whether freedom can ever be protected by fascist methods.